Awesome. So we are talking. So yesterday we discussed about list, right? And we saw list is a collection where you can store more than one value in a variable, correct? And the values need not be of same data type. Okay, so list can have integer, float. It can even have a list. It can even have a dictionary or tuple, which we are going to do next. So next topic is tuple. Okay. So tuple is again a way to store multiple values. Okay. So Jacqueline, you may not be able to understand a lot of things. Don't worry. Okay. Just be with us. Okay.
Okay.
So tuple is a collection. Okay. Just like list. So it's a collection. Okay. It's a linear ordered collection. Okay. So now we know what is linear, what is ordered. Linear, one dimensional order. Every element has a order by itself, has a position by itself, right? And that position starts from 0. So first element has a position 0, second would have position 1, so on, right? So what is the difference between list and tuple? So even list is also a linear ordered collection, right? Difference is tuple is immutable. Okay, list was mutable. So you could change the values of a list. And most of the methods that we discussed was actually changing the value of the list, right? So when you say append, it actually changed the main list itself. But tuple is again like list, but it is immutable. So you can't edit the value of tuple once you create it. Okay. So if I have to say here, let's say T1 equal to so T1 is a variable which is going to represent our first tuple, correct? Now, how do we declare? How do we create a tuple, right? So how did we create a list? We created a list using square bracket, right? So we said L1 equal to, okay, square bracket, and then we put, let's say 2, 4, 6, 8, correct? So now if I do, let me comment this out first. So if I do print, okay, L1, if I do print L1, okay, and now okay, so I want to print L1, but also I want to print the type of L1, right? So when I run it, you see, it says list, right? Class list. Because we put a square bracket here, it knows that the value that we are trying to create here is a list. Now, if I have to do same thing for T1, okay, how do we do it? So let me print T1 value as well as type of T1. And now I'm going to, okay, give the values here. So tuple is declared using simple bracket. Okay, simple bracket. So I give same values, let's say 2, 4, 6, 8, right? Now when you run it, okay, you see it says class tuple, right? So list will have square bracket, tuple will have simple bracket, normal bracket that we use. Okay, difference, right? So if I try to change the value, second value, right? I want to change 4 to, let's say, 14. I can say L1 of 1, right? Because each of these has a position, starts with 0, 1, 2, 3. So this is position 1, correct? Index 1. So I want to change 4. So I'll say L1 of 1 equal to, let's say, 14. And now if I print L1, okay, if I say L1 equal to, okay, and I run it, you see 4 became 14, right? So you can change the value. That's why it says mutable. Lists are mutable. But if I try to do same thing with T, so if I say T1 of 1, now indexing is exactly same as list. So indexing of tuple is same as indexing of list, is same as indexing of string. That's why we're not going to spend time on again doing indexing, right? Because indexing is exactly same as how we do indexing in string or in the list. So if I want to change the first element of tuple, I'll say T1 of 1 equal to 14. I don't even have to do print because when I run it, it will give me error. tuple object does not support item assignment. Do you remember seeing this error before? Did we face this error before? I'm asking a question. Have you seen this error before? No?
No,
Yes?
no,
Not sure. Yeah.
no,
Not
no,
sure?
no, we haven't seen.
We haven't seen. We saw that in the string, right? If I want to put S1 of 0 as, let's say, capital H, right? We saw that you get same error, right? Object does not support item assignment. Is it not?
Oh, yeah. Okay, okay.
Okay. So this is the error you get when you are dealing with immutable objects. Okay, so string is immutable, tuple is immutable, list is mutable. Okay, so since it is immutable, okay, since you can't add, okay, I can delete this now. Since you can't edit the value, of course, it does not have as many methods as list. Very simple. Okay, we can probably, finish off in next few minutes. See, it has only two methods, index and count. Unlike list where we had at least about 10 methods, isn't it? So there is no append, there is no insert, there is no remove, there is no pop, okay, there is no extend because all of them required even sort, right? There is no sort or reverse because all of them required us to change the original value of the variable. Here we can't. So you can only read the value, right? You can only perform read. Okay. So index will tell you if you pass the value, it will tell you where exactly the value is in the tuple, and count will tell you how many times the value is occurring in the tuple. So if I say 2, 4, 6, 8, again 2, 4, 6, 2, let's say. So if I want to know the index of 2, right? So I'll say here print index of 2. So what do you think the answer would be? What is the index of 2? T1.
6.
No, index is 0, right? It's at the
Okay.
first position, right? So 2 is at the first position itself. So you get 0, index of 2. So
Oh, got
even
it,
though
got it.
you
Yeah.
have more than 1, okay, it will find the position of the first matching character. First matching is, of course, at the first position itself. That's why you get index of 2 as 0. Now, if I have to do count, right, that was the other method that is available. So I'll say count. So here you say t1 dot count. So what do you think the answer would be?
3.
Yeah. Are you guys not practicing? Well, it shouldn't take so much of time to say. Yeah. Count will tell you how many times 2 is appearing. Right? So it is 3 times. Okay. So then what's the use of tuple? See, tuple is used for reading purpose. Okay. Tuple is faster in case of all the read operation. Like if you're reading through a list, like if you're doing a for loop, right? In for loop, we are reading the value from the list, right? So if I say for I in L1 or for I in T1, of course you can apply that, right? I can say for I in T1, right? And I can print I. So what will I print here? Guys, I want it to be faster.
Sorry, it will print the value
Yes, 2468,
2468. Yeah.
right? Okay. So we are trying to read the values here, isn't it? We are trying to read the values here, correct? So your reading is faster when you have tuple. It's like this, when you are driving, right? And if there's a road has a divider, okay, you will drive faster because you know nobody's going to come in front of you. But if that road does not have that divider line, right? Okay, then you'll be a little careful because anybody can come in front of you, isn't it? So overtaking will be careful. Same thing. So list is like road without the divider, and tuple is like road with the divider. So you are very sure nobody is going to come in front of you. So, okay, because there is no edit here. So it's only used for reading purpose. So it is designed to read faster. So when you have lot of values, okay, you may not see this when you have 4 or 10 kind of values, but if you have hundreds of values in the list, okay, and you want to access each member, you are performing read operation, okay, it's better that you have a tuple than a list. The best thing is you can convert tuple to list, list to tuple, absolutely no problem. So let's say this is T1 and I want to add a member to this, or I want to edit this member, right? And we saw that we can't edit it, right? So what we can do, okay, we will say here, okay, let me do it here so that we can see the output in for loop itself. I'm going to say T1 equal to list of T1. Just like we have int, string, str, bool, those function, complex function, we do have like list, tuple as function also, right? So if you say list of T1, now what is the data type of T1 before converting to list?
Tuple.
Tuple.
Yeah.
Now if I do, after converting, it becomes
List.
list.
Oh, it converts to list. That's good.
Converts to list, right? So this was your original value tuple, and now you see it became list. It has replaced simple bracket with square bracket. So list is a function which will convert anything to list if it is convertible, right? Okay. So if it is convertible, it will convert to list. Okay. So tuple can be converted. So tuple and list they can be converted into each other's form. So you are trying to convert, okay, tuple to list. Now, okay, T1 is a list and you have access to all these methods that we discussed in list, right? Now you want to edit, you edit it. So I'll say T1 of 1 equal to 14. Now again, you have to convert it back to tuple, right? So I'll say T1 equal to tuple of T1, right? So what we did, because we wanted to add something to the tuple, so we had to perform an extra step. Okay, this is to make sure that you are not changing the value by mistake, right? So you can't change the value by mistake here. Here I was just trying to change it by value of tuple. Here I'm conscious, right? I'm conscious that I want to change the value. So you're putting that extra step. When you're putting that extra step, Python says, okay, you know what you're doing, so go ahead and do it, right? So I'm converting this tuple to list here. So now T1 is no longer tuple, but it's a list. So you can apply all the methods, all the properties specific to list here. Once you are done, once you are happy, convert it back to tuple again, right? Convert it back to tuple again. And then, you can use it like a tuple. So that's how, okay, your list and tuple can be converted to each other's form. Why do we use tuple? Tuple is mostly used for, okay, reading purpose, because reading of values through a list is slower than tuple. Okay, so mostly 99% time you will be using list. But moment you want to read, you want to perform for loop, okay, it's better you convert to tuple, perform for loop, and then again, if you want to make edit, you can convert it back to list. Okay, not much to discuss under tuple, right? Okay, there's another concept here, and not only in tuple, that stands for list also. We call it as packing and unpacking. Okay, so what we just did here, when we say T1 equal to these values, so these are like packing, right? We packed multiple values together as a tuple. You can do unpacking, okay? So let's say I say T2 equal to 3, 6, 9. So I did packing. I packed 3 things in my suitcase, right? Now when you're ready to unpack, you can say A, comma B, comma C equal to T2. So what you're trying to do here, I'm trying to assign T2 now to ABC. So since T2 has 3 values, okay, A will take 3, B will take 6, and C will take 9. Now each of these are your integer type, okay? So if I can say print A comma type of A, okay, and I'll copy and paste them again here. Okay. So now when you run it, you see 3, A became 3, correct? And it is integer. B became 6, it's an integer. C became 9 and it's an integer. Okay. So your ABC has taken the value from T2. This is called unpacking. Okay. So creating a tuple is like packing. You are packing multiple values in one, and this is unpacking. Okay. So you are taking one value and then distributing into multiple variables. Okay. Now you see, if you have 3 values, you have to use exactly 3 variables. If I delete C, okay, and let's say not even use this, okay. So when you run it, you get error. Exit code 1 means error, right? So see the error. Too many values to unpack. Too many values to unpack. Okay. So it's like, you have 3, let's say 3 dresses to keep in your shelf, but you have space for only 2, right? So that's why it says too many dresses to keep in the shelf. You don't have enough space. Okay. So too many values to unpack. Now, if I try to do with, let's say 4, okay, this is also error. Okay, this will also throw error. It says not enough values to unpack, right? You are giving 4 spaces to keep 3 things. Okay, it says not enough values to unpack. You have more spaces, right? So that's why it has to match exactly same number of variables as you have in T2. Okay, now no error. Okay, it has successfully unpacked, and then you can print your ABC, you get the values here. Okay, so when you're doing unpacking, you should know exactly how many values are there in your tuple. Only then you can do unpacking. Last concept before we move away from tuple is the declaration itself. Okay, how do you declare tuple? So how do you declare tuple? You declare tuple using simple bracket, correct? This is how you declare tuple, right? So if I say type of T3, okay, and if I say T3 here, and when I run it, so I should say type, right? I did not put type function. So type of T3 is tuple, right? Because we created a square, normal bracket. So if you have no values to add, you want to create an empty tuple. Okay, if you want to create empty tuple, I don't know why you want to create empty tuple, right? Because tuple, if you create empty, then you can't add value. So generally we will create an empty list and then add value and then, create a tuple if you want to. But let's say you want to create empty tuple, you can do that. So you can create empty tuple T3 equal to simple bracket. Great. If you have multiple values, great. You can create T2 like this. But if I have exactly one value, so remember, I have exactly one value to add. Let's say 10. Now, in this case, Python gets confused whether this is tuple or you are putting some number for mathematical analysis. So in this case, if I do the type, okay, type of 4, okay, so it will not read as tuple, but it will read as integer because it thinks that you are putting numbers for performing mathematical operation. We use simple bracket for mathematics as well, right? So in this case, okay, Python is confused. Is it integer or tuple? So it will always go for the basic value, which is tuple. Sorry, which is integer. Okay, so if you want to create a tuple with exactly one value, there's an exception. There's no exception for no value or 2 values or 3 values. Okay, you can have even 2 values here, no problem. But if your tuple has one value, then you have to give comma. Because we don't use comma in mathematics, right? Mathematical operation. We use plus, minus, into, division, power, square root, things like that. We don't use comma. So when you put comma, then it's okay, you're putting comma. So it cannot be integer. It has to be, yeah, it has to be tuple. Okay. So now when you run it, you get tuple. Okay. So this is true.
What if I put character and without comma?
Doesn't matter. Okay. So if I, instead of, let's say 10, I say hello, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So what happens? Even string you can put in a bracket, right? Remember we did multiplication, addition of string. We use simple bracket there, right?
Got it. Okay.
Right?
So you take it as a string by default.
Yes,
Okay.
it takes, so whatever you put using simple bracket, okay, it will take that basic form, right? If I put a false, it will take as Boolean, correct? Because, again, you remember when we did like Bodmer's rule, right? Bodmer's rule applies to number, string, Boolean, everything, correct? So remember, like we did hello plus world into 5, into 3. So what happens? First, hello world will get joined, then you repeat with 3 times, right? This is different than, this is different compared to this. What happens? What happens here? Here, first multiplication will take place, right? So
Yeah.
word will repeat 3 times and then you add. So it's like hello, world, world, world. And this is like hello world, hello world, hello world. So you're repeating hello world 3 times. Here you're repeating only world 3 times, right? So that's why, okay, when you put simple bracket, it is difficult for Python to know beforehand itself that you are using it for such calculation or for tuple, correct? So that's why what we do is okay, when you have single value, you put comma. Okay, single value will have comma. Now when you run it, see, it knows it's a tuple. Make sense? And this exception, this comma is only for one value, when you have to deal with one value in tuple. Okay, if you have 2 or more, then we don't have to do comma here. Then it knows, because in a way you understand that it has to be either null, nothing, or 1 comma. So when you put 1 comma, right, if I say hello comma world, for example, or hello comma 4, I can have integer. So it knows that, okay, 1 comma is there, so it cannot be string or integer or whatever, right? It has to be tuple only. Okay. So
Sounds good.
yeah, sorry, go ahead.
I said sounds good, Swapnil. Thanks.
No problem. Perfect. Okay. So this is how you deal with, okay, string, you deal with list, and now we saw tuple. Okay. And tuple does not have much thing. Okay. The only importance of tuple is that it is faster to read. So when you are doing read, it's like this, textbook versus notebook. Okay. Notebook is meant for writing, right? So when you write, you don't know what is coming. List is like that. Okay. Textbook is for reading because things are already printed. You know the page, you can go and look at the index. You can go to directly, you can go to the specific topic. Okay. So tuple is like book, okay, where you don't write, but you prefer it for reading. Otherwise, there's no difference between list and tuple. Okay. So let's now start new topic. Okay. Let's spend 10-15 minutes and to talk about, okay, the next topic, which is another collection. Okay. This is called dictionary. Okay. So this is our third collection, right? List, tuple, and now dictionary. Dictionary also stores multiple values. Okay. So this is also a collection, right? It stores multiple values, so collection. Okay. Now it is unordered. It is unordered collection. So here you do not have default 0, 1, 2 position index. Okay. It depends upon the position that we give. We also have to give the position. Okay. It will not take default position. So it's a unordered. Okay. It is linear, unordered, mutable collection. That means you can change, you can mutate, you can change the value of the collection. Okay, it is your mutable collection. Okay, so now let's see how to declare this. Okay, now let's see how to, okay, declare, okay, declare the sample, okay, dictionary, correct? So, how do you declare the sample dictionary? Let's say I call D1 equal to. We have already consumed two brackets, right? What is left? Square bracket for list, simple bracket for tuple. Which bracket is left? Which is other bracket?
Curly bracket.
Curly bracket, yes. Flower bracket or curly bracket, yes. So we declare dictionaries as curly bracket. Okay, so now if I say print type equal to type of D1, okay, you see it says dictionary. DICT is for dictionary. Okay. Now how do you add the value to it? I can't add 3, 6, sorry, 3, comma 6, comma 9. Okay. Okay, I cannot do that. Okay, there is no default position which gets generated like your list or tuple. Here, okay, it's a pair of key colon. Okay, you can say pairs of key colon value. Okay, key colon value. Key is your index. Key is your position. This decides the position. This decides key. Okay. And then obviously value. So let's say I want to have 369 as the value. So I need to give a position. So if you want to work it like a list, so you will say 0 colon 3, 1 colon 6, 2 colon 9. Now in this case, it will work like your list. Okay. You're giving this order 0, 1, 2. So if I need to print only second member, I will say D1 of 1. D1 of 1 will give us second member, which is 6. Okay. But you don't have to restrict yourself to 0, 1, 2. Okay. You can, let's say you're dealing with, let's say some manufacturing data. Okay. Or you're dealing with, say, health. Okay. What do you call basic health data? Right. So here you will say dictionary. Okay. Then you can say name, colon. Let's say I put name as such. Right. Then you can say weight. Okay. You can say 156. Right. You can say age. Right. Maybe 42. Right. You can have string. You can have something like 23 colon. Let's say 23 is code for city, let's say. I'll put, right? So what happened? Here you have one pair, comma, second pair, comma, third pair, comma, fourth pair. So we have 4 set of values here, right? And each of them have their own index. Okay. Each of them here have their own index. So if I want to print, let's say name, and see in string, it has to match the case, right? If I put N capital and AM is small, I cannot use something else here. I have to use exactly same case also. So print name. So name what? Name of what? Basic health. So basic health, bracket. Okay. Now we are doing indexing, right? Indexing, we always use square bracket. No matter which collection you are dealing with, whether it is string or list or tuple or with dictionary. Always square bracket is used for indexing, irrespective of which collection you are using. So I want to know the name of this patient. So I'll say basic health name. Now, when you run it, you see, you get Sachin. All right. You can use dictionary inside a list. Let's say I have a multiple patient. Correct. I have multiple patient. Okay. So what I do? I'll create, okay, a list. And this list will have multiple dictionary. Okay. And each of dictionary might have, let's say, I put this information here. Okay. I'll put them in same line so that we save some space. Okay. Since we're dealing with same kind of data, right? So key should not change, right? Key generally will not change in this case. Values will change. Key should remain same, right? So let's say I put Virat, I put, Rohit, I put Kapil, right? Now your weight, okay, could be, right? Age. Okay. Now you can have whatever. Let's say your your clinic is located in same city, so all of them will have same code here. Now I'm using, so see, this is your dictionary, right? Now I'm using this. Now I have put multiple values in the same list, correct? So if I need to know, okay, which patient is at position 1, okay, or index 1. So if I say here print, okay, patients bracket 0. Now if I say bracket 0, which values am I accessing? I'm trying to access
one.
first member, this one,
Yep.
correct? Now if I say patients 1, then which one I'm trying to access? This one,
Virat.
right? Yes. I want to know the weight of second patient. So second patient is patient 1, and then here I'll put weight. So now you know that I'm trying to access second patient and weight of the second patient, 126. All right. So the advantage here is, okay, when you write patient 1, okay, you don't know what 1 is, right? But here you know, okay, you're trying to access weight of that person. So that's the advantage of using key. Okay, disadvantage is you have to use key, right? Okay, it becomes little complex because you have to add key. And the best part is that you know what kind of value you're dealing with. Okay, I'm dealing with weight, so I know, okay, I've given the key as weight, so I know I'm dealing with weight. Okay, that's the advantage of using your dictionary. Of course, dictionary has its own set of, um, properties. So what I'll do, I'll first move them to this part, which I can use it later to share with you all. Okay, and I'll come back here and I'll delete all of these. Okay, so let's say this is my one single dictionary. Okay, I want to see how many keys are there or what are the keys that it has. Okay, so I'll say print basic health dot keys. Keys will tell you the list of keys that it has. Okay, so keys are name, weight, age, and 23. These are the keys that is there here. You want to see the values? So you will say, instead of keys, you will say values. It will give you values here. So now you see here, this is a special type of list. Okay, this is dictionary underscore values. Okay, so this is a list which is converted into this object type. So you can use len. Len of this will tell you how many values it has. Okay, so remember a couple of things here. Your values can be duplicate, right? It is possible that age and weight is same. 2 year, 2 pound, maybe possible, right? Which is probably hard to believe, but let's say it is possible. Values can be same, but your keys cannot be same. I cannot have two age here, right? So key should not be duplicated. Okay. If I try to do this, then if I try to run again, all this you see, okay, I forgot to put comma here. Okay, value should be separated with comma. So see here, it took only one age. And which value it took? It took second value. So, it is trying to assume that you probably got this wrong. So you want to override this. So this data is gone. This is treated as if this is not there in your dictionary. So when you have multiple keys duplicating, the last one that you put will be taken. So if I put again, let's say after here also I put age. Okay, age colon 15. Okay, now you see, okay, you have age here and it has taken 15. Now 2 and 10 is ignored, right? So do not put duplicate keys. Values, obviously, values you can't control, right? Values is the real value that you see, so it can be duplicate, right? But keys is what we add to the data. It should not be duplicated. Makes
So
sense?
this could be a risk, right, Swapnil?
Sorry,
Like
sorry.
what if there is, no, what I meant is this could be a risk, right? What if by mistake the user
What can you do
mentions,
by mistake? You tell me, okay. When you are creating a form, for example, will you have two columns for name? Will you have two columns for age? No, right? But you can have two columns for,
yeah.
let's say, phone number. You can have
Hmm.
two columns for phone number. So you can say primary phone, secondary phone. You can't have phone, both the columns, right?
It has to be explicitly mentioned, I think,
It has to be
that
different, right? So you can say primary phone, secondary phone, or mobile phone, residence phone, office phone, right? You
yeah.
have to have some kind of distinction, okay? Not only dictionary, generally, okay? You can't have two names, for example, right? Certificate, if I ask you what's the name, certificate to generate certificate, you cannot give me two names. Saying that, okay, this one and this one, right? You have to have one name. You can have first name, middle name, last name. But you can't have name itself too, correct?
Hmm. Yeah.
Logically also doesn't make sense, correct?
Sure, Swapnil. Yeah.
Okay. So you have keys, values. We'll do one more thing and we'll stop here. Okay. Here you also have something called as basic health dot items. Okay. So you have keys, which will just give you the list of keys. You have values, which will give you the list of values. Okay. And you have items. So items is combination of key comma value, key comma value, key comma value, key comma value. Okay. So you have key comma value, which is part of your items. Okay. We'll stop here. Let me know if you have any questions. And tomorrow when we meet, we'll do few more work on dictionary. Any questions before we wrap up?